Hi everybody. I want to talk about the new Form 110s that we're going to be putting on the info portal under the Health and Safety tab. For those of you that don't know, the current 110 form, which is filled out for injuries, accidents, and exposures, is one long form. And there's a couple of things that we really want to change about it. Really, one of them is the length. It's a long form, and oftentimes people will fill out one section of the form, but they'll forget to fill out a section that's maybe located lower in the form. It kind of gets form fatigue. And two, we really don't get good information as far as being able to prevent or reduce injuries and accidents and exposures. And that's really a key thing for the Health and Safety Division along with the Safety Committees. When we review those, and we review them all, we want to look at what are ways that we can either institute training, institute different practices, really try to figure out how do we reduce, again, injuries, accidents, and exposures. So what we've done is we've split the forms into three separate forms. There'll be one for injuries, one for essentially equipment damage, and one for exposure. Each form will contain the information specific to that type of incident that we want to collect. We've also added a new section to all three forms, and that's called a root cause section. Root cause is really trying to get to the why of what happened. Oftentimes there's a description of an injury or an accident, but then I go back and forth with the firefighters and try to understand and ask them additional questions. This takes a long time. It's really not very efficient or effective in trying to get to that root cause. Again, that's the key, is once we understand the root cause, we can actually figure out how do we change the behavior, or how do we change the process. Is it training, for example? Is it an equipment issue? So each form has a root cause section, and there's 4 root cause questions that it'll ask you. One will be unsafe practices. 2, unsafe conditions. 3, lack of training. 4, prevention techniques. So as you fill out the forms, you'll answer those questions, and there's some examples in each section for you to read as well. And then if you answered yes to any of them, we want you to give us a little more description as to why you answered yes. And the last one, the prevention techniques, we're actually asking you for tips on how to prevent this in the future. The goal of the whole change is reducing injuries, accidents, and exposures. That's what we want to do. We want to keep you healthy. We want to keep you safe. We want your input. We also want you to have the ability to reflect on maybe what caused that incident for yourself, if it was a personal injury or a vehicle accident. We want you to really think about what caused it and think about how we can prevent that in the future. We've removed some of the links to the exposure form for airborne or bloodborne exposure. Those are no longer needed. All the information will be contained in the form. There is still a link for witness form. So if there's a witness to the accident, whether it's a company officer or someone else, you would still click on the link and fill out the witness section. That's in another part. And we've also added picture requirements. So if you do vehicle damage, we want pictures of the damage, and we want you to upload those photos. You can simply take some pictures with the department iPhone, save them on the desktop, and then when you go in and click attach, just grab them and attach them from your desktop onto that form. We've added the officer signature as well. So your officer will need to sign each form, and the signature verifies that they've read the form and they agree with what you've written. Battalion chiefs are also included, as well as captains for vehicle damage or any equipment damage. So the captain will need to be notified, and then the battalion chief will also need to sign. The company officer and the battalion chief also have a comments section. So if they want to have additional comments, explanation, things that they wanted to add about the incident or the injury, they can add it in there as well. Oftentimes when we're reviewing these and we're talking to battalion chiefs or company officers or station captains, they really didn't know about the accident, the damage, or the exposure. So we want to include them in the whole process. We really want this to be a team approach of making sure that as a department, we're again looking out for your safety, your well-being, and we're trying to reduce injuries, accidents, and exposures. So thank you very much. Those will be out shortly on the info portal.